Here's a short one I wanted to discuss. It's kind of over everyone's head, and not at all, because it's basics. That's why they put the Garden of Eden apple in kindergarten. That if anyone catches up to the apple, they already have beyond a doctorate, because that's where the sacred knowledge is at in kindergarten. But what does it all mean? What are the letters? What are words? How do you read it? What about the different cultures, different languages? Uh, what about when the person's excited or hiding something? How do these manifestations of spirit come out? How to read them? What is it all about? And that's the rabbit hole. Is all in words. And there's a way to explain it, but each has automatically, like if you set a floor and you say, well, okay, it means this. Well, let's say the letter T. Okay. As soon as you put a label on it, you say, oh, that's a cross. Well, first of all, that's a cross. Is it that apostrophe S or that is? And is it a cross as one word or two words? And that's a whole lot of letters to describe one letter. So then, how do you use letters to describe the letters of the letters that you're trying to define? And that's where the rabbit hole gets deep. Well, there's this thing they did to us in school by having people copy other people's work and then become the teacher and then to give it to somebody else. But then it's the blind leading the blind. So then it's perfect. Everyone's on the blackboard. Like the expression 2 + 2 =. Well, if you write that in words, the spirit is holding the bar between you and the paper that it's written on and the person that gave it, and holding all the power in that line and handing it to you and to them, and it's like on a swivel that can't be busted. It's divided as its own entity. 2 + 2 =. But then there's so many ways to see it. So the number 4 is like a U. Got it all up here? Boom. Yeah, I'm at the end. And then a little mind at the end. 4. Boom. Touchdown. Got it. Or the word 4 even starts in F. 1, 2. My body and my mind are here. Here's 2 more. 4. 2, 1, 2, and 2. Yeah, everything contains experience. But see that paper, those letters, that pencil, those are all things. But what is the mind that's working it out? That's not a thing. Or a body. Or a one. Is it a sum of all the parts? Or is it the part that is greater as an empty whole than all of every other sum as a conglomerate? Or the new piece? People think that spirituality is about frou-frou things. But it's actually the battleground of the mind. And there's 8 billion minds on the earth right now. How many computers are there? Those are all bodies that are minds and minds that are bodies, but neither. They got to be plugged in. But then they got it all. But mainly, they only got whatever you give it. It's a dead box. Otherwise, it contains nothing. At the same time, it's within reach of everything that there is, apart from anything that there is. How odd is that? Well, all the people have a mind that is equally as powerful, equally as expansive, even more creative, less grounded, but more grounded because, well, you can't get rid of it. It's stuck on you. At the same time, is where could it be found? And we have to use our bodies in order just to get money, just so we can hook up the power, so we can plug it in. And then be like, oh, now I watch my show. Or, I wonder, who won the Super Bowl? Anybody know? Oh, there's nobody around. Oh, nobody. Oh, there's a whole bunch of people around. Nobody watched the Super Bowl? Oh, it's because I'm in Thailand and they don't watch the Super Bowl. Or it won't be televised till later because the International Dateline. Or whatever. Beep, beep, beep. Oh, now I know. But that's an interesting thing. The moment we know something, that's almost a dead end. It has to keep evolving. But that was the trap that they put upon the ego. Like school, of how everything is handed to you backwards, and you hand it backwards, and all the power is on the paper. And both people, the teacher and the student, are both victims of the crime. It's a very interesting setup. Because who's in the right, who's in the wrong, nobody fucking knows. But all that stuff builds out. See, if every single paper, if everything you ever learned, like what it was completed, whether you got right answers, wrong answers, whatever, and all that stuff, you're like, okay, I don't need it. Done. It's all finished. It was completed before I ever did the problems. And then it was completed when I finished it. And even if I never see any of that work ever again, suddenly stuff will start to precipitate out. Or we'll have to run away into a place where there's no knowledge. And all the knowledge is pictures. And people talking. But missing all the words, which is television. And that is the other version of the paper between the teacher and student. Only it's all folded into itself and folded out onto a screen, drawn out at the same time as clipped really hard to get as much information and nothing at all, just to beam it right in there. And then you can just be like, whoa. Yeah. What could you say about it? Well, I really liked the part where they did that. Whoa, that was awesome. But then, as empowering as the television is, it's vicarious, where we're living through others and not taking part in what it is that's going on. But to the subconscious mind, we were in the movie, we were experiencing it, we were there. And shit, they weren't even there. It was probably all on a green screen. And that's an interesting concept, right? So being relevant in one's own life each day and relevant for others at the same time as available, whether it's relevant or irrelevant, I think is an important responsibility and task for each of us in the future. I was talking to my mom the other day about how, everyone's got a Facebook, but Facebook is all fake anyway. And when it's not fake, it's awkward, but there's something weird about it, you know? That all these means are broken upon themselves. And that is what social media is. So then where can one be genuine unless it's all the time, everywhere you go? And at the same time being creative and participating with all others. Now, this is mine. Who could say what's mine and what's yours? At the same time, it's an interesting intellectual property question, isn't it? How some people get paid to do nothing, and others can do all the work and never get paid. And how there's a lot of privilege going on behind in the platforms. And mostly it's given to those that don't really offer themselves. It's those that offer the filler to steal the attention away from everyone in order to get a boost in their income and keep everybody out there as sheep just to be farmed. When I don't know, I foresee how each should be working on themselves. I mean, obviously there's free will, but just in a hypothetical, like in China, how there's cameras everywhere. You know, there's this rating system, but people like that in video games, right? You're going along and you're like, oh, you ran into the old lady, and oh, so then you got like 2 demerits on your karma, and you know, and then, oh, well, I'm more of a bad guy, or I'm more of a good guy, or you know, and then your clothes or your face changes, you're glowing, or you start turning all dark, and you got a cloud around your head and stuff, and that's the real work that's happening all the time, regardless of the game or whether you're in the Chinese rating system. And so I can foresee, you know, that in the future, at least for some, you know, this giving of ourselves each day and being available is worth more than the guy sitting at his desk as the boss, just like typing in the figures and then being like, beep, yeah, can you come in here, please? I see on the payroll or whatever that John was late for work twice last week. Can you call him in here? Don't say anything. Just send him in. Thanks. Yeah. Hi, John. Why were you late last week? Just something going with your family? You having car problems? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, you know, if it keeps happening, I'm gonna have to let you go. Because, well, fuck, 10 minutes out of your week, I might as well just not even have you here. Because, yeah, you're important to me. You know, it's like a family. It's business. So, no more being late. Otherwise, well, you have to find a new family. Okay, go back to your job. Bye. And up your performance a little bit, because, well, if you don't want to be the one that gets to the quarterly raises and doesn't get one, and you could be mad at me for it, but here's your warning. Okay, bye. Beep. There's a boss. And what good is somebody like that, you know, in that spot? We all know the type. And gotta have the demeanor and stuff. You gotta be hard on them. Otherwise, they'll walk all over you. At the same time as nobody takes that seriously. Or they take it too seriously. Walk out, like, why'd you get called in the office? Oh, fucking jerk. Talk about threatening. He threatened me. He told me he was going to fire me if I'm late for work again. I might need to do better if I want to get a raise. Oh, don't worry. Or, don't mind him. He fires you. Fuck it. You can work with my cousin. Shit, I'll probably go with you. And that person's sitting in the office going, well, looks like everybody's in order. Made my $150 for the day. All of them probably made 50, 70 bucks. Had to pay insurance and all that. All my shit's already covered under the umbrella of the company. Yeah, I'm gonna go home and golf on my office green. Have a couple drinks, and my wife's gonna be like, "Oh, honey, you're so wonderful. What would you like for dinner? Whatever you want." "Oh, thank you. You're so great." Isn't that the emptiness of power, right? It gets more and more trapped behind a wall, a projection, and at the same time, less and less useful. So then it tries to make more and more happen with beep. Send them in. Why do you think you're here? All right. Well, keep in mind. See ya. And keeping everything hidden in order to maintain control and power. But trying to control things is weirdly the expression of lacking, which is a conundrum in and of itself. So if somebody's bossy and has to control everybody, that's the person, like, it reveals the insecurity within. A sense of fear of anybody getting one up on them and having to maintain an image. And it came from someplace. And the weird thing is, you'll almost never change anyone. And so then what happens? Well, they made it so the world changes on a dime. And either each of us can keep growing, or we can be like, well, I'm going to stay this way. And regardless, I'm just going to find somebody that fits so that I never have to change. I'm going to find the position that fits so that I don't have to change. So I don't have to grow. Unless it's, look, I went to the gym. You know, that's the weirdest thing about the ego. I don't really get it. Well, that's all I get. But I don't really got it. I just had a lot of insight into it from a special perspective. You know, if the ego is a protector, then that's weird how they have it so it's always battling everyone around us and battling the world. And so they had to make it so it's trapped in each person, in the television, in the device, in the game, in the cattiness, in relationships, in the mask, and this a dance. When, like I said previously, well, you know, the funny thing is, if the ego's job is to protect a person, weirdly enough, in the world we live in, honesty, straight up honesty, and look somebody in the eyes and tell them what you think or what you feel, or even just doing it for all to see or for none to see, is about the most protective thing one could do. That person's almost untouchable because everyone's got a game that they got to maintain. And so then they're not protecting themselves because they have to let everyone in on the game. Or it's about appearances here and here, which then they're already divided within, rather than always being there and taking everything head on. And, well, when there's a wall, well then What's the bust through? You just fucking turn the corner and walk around the wall. There's no. It's so hard to define the mind to the mind. If everyone has one, but nobody has one, and they work, but each mind has to work on itself, and it can't really get much from anyone else. Anything else it gets from somebody else, it has to use against itself. At the same time, it has to find a way to use that to give something back, or for fuel, And witnessing each other is really where it's at, while each of us is in our authenticity. I guess that's all I wanted to speak about right now. Go get that second cup of coffee.